Okay, day 4 my Webflow journey, and today we're gonna learn about the web design. This is a course made Webflow, a tutorial. I'm just gonna read the tutorial and think about the concepts gonna learn. Okay, let's start. How to run web design in 9 steps, plus best practices. Or how to learn web design and learn basic of UI, UX, HTML, CSS, and FCardel. Start with a solid foundation by learning the basics of UI, UX, HTML, CSS, and visual. Learning how to design a website is an effort-intensive process. Starting with the fundamentals will save you time fixing errors later. This guide covers everything you need to better understand the web design so you can start the creation process big picture perspective. As you read through, bookmark the more in-depth guides along the way. Okay, what's web design and what elements make it work? Crafting a website is a part artistry, part science. Designers turn concepts into aesthetically pleasing sites that enable an audience to take the site owner's intended actions, whether it's making a purchase or signing up for a service. Web design involves several subdisciplines like user experience (UX), user interface (UI), and search engine optimization (SEO). Good designers know fundamentals of this okay, experience, interface, and SEO. These are the fundamentals. Okay. To create an effective, engaging, and user-friendly site, web designers need to follow the following skills. Attention to detail. A great designer knows granular details, styling each element carefully, while never losing sight of how they will all come together. Pay attention to detail. Adaptability. Designers must be skilled in various software and techniques to pivot strategies to reach multiple audience types. Okay. Organization. The arrangement of text and visuals of the page must intuitively direct users through the site. A skilled designer creates sites that deliver users their destination in the fewest. Okay, this is simplicity. Everything needs to be simple and well arranged. Okay? Best sites are about unique, keep the viewer engaged, and follow the user's navigation expectations so they can take their intended direction. Okay, everything must be very intuitive, and we have to differentiate to be different from the others. Okay, we need to be original, but everything must be simple and very intuitive. Web design are powerful, are powered by the backend. Okay, the backend is everything that runs behind the scenes when displaying a website. Backend developers are the people who make it. Websites reside on servers. When a user navigates to a specific section of the site, servers show them a file built with HTML and CSS. That determines how the browser displays content. It's this backend file that developers work on ensure the site loads correctly. This search engine. Okay. Backend developers are often programmers who work in coding languages such as PHP. They also might use a Python framework like Django, write Java code, SQL databases, or use other programming languages, frameworks, applications, databases work together correctly. Okay. Front end relates to what site visit. If the backend server side, the front end is the client side. Front end is where HTML, CSS, along with JavaScript and other code work together to display a website. Front end development focuses on parts of a web design that people engage with, about organizing information and presenting it in a way that's visually appealing and useful. Okay, so the front end is what we see up front, the website, but on the back end, these are files that are just sent to the web, to the domain, servers, hosting, and the back end here's they make all the files go from hosting to the server. Okay, and the front end is what we see. We interact with the front end. Good visual design makes websites stand out. Though the best web design look effortless, they are all based on the guiding principle of design. Some rare web designers have an innate eye for visual design, but most must learn and practice the of composition. Over time, you understand how elements, shapes, space, color, and geometry come together to geometry come together to form sound web design. How to become a web designer? 9 steps. Okay, well, steps. How to become a web designer? Building a website is more accessible thanks to online courses and through design software documentation like that on web. Let's just guys. Yeah, this is Webflow University. It's great. Webflow. Back to the course. That says some fundamental make great foundation to build on. Following 9 steps are ordered approach to so you can fast track your okay, so now we're gonna the basic idea of web design. This I think are the fundamentals. There will be much more to learn, but everyone needs the basics. Effective web design requires you to understand basic artistic principles you can leverage to make your designs more appealing. If you've ever taken an art class, the following fundamentals though applying them to web design is slightly different. Every letter, border, and web page layout is made up of lines that form larger structure. As you learn web design, you will learn how to use lines to create order and balance. For example, you might create borders to separate a paper or horizontal lines to bookend paragraph. Shapes. The basic shapes in visual designs are squares, circles, triangles. Squares and rectangles go to box of content, circles, triangles for icons that accompany important messages to actions. Yes. Shapes also evoke specific associations, squares with strength, circles with harmony and comfort, and triangles with order, action. Okay, squares strength, circles harmony and comfort, action. Texture. Textures replicate something in the real world. Through texture, we understand whether something is rough or smooth. You notice textures through popular web designs, paper-like backgrounds, the color wisps of a creation thoughtfully Using texture can make your designs more interesting and give them a sense of physicality. Okay, I think texture is mostly used on the background. Okay, let's go. Color. Create sites that aren't an AI strain. Educate yourself on color theory. Understanding the color wheel. Complementary colors, contrasting tones, and the emotion that different ones evoke means more strategically design your site. A huge part of front-end web design is knowing what color combination look together. Generate ideas by creating a few palettes with two like colors. Double O. Okay, very important. How to but I think this comes from practice. Maybe see the best websites, how they use their color palettes. When you don't know something, just copy the best. Time, gonna build your own style. To learn HTML basics. HTML determines how a website's content, application, or element play in a browser. So you don't need to be an expert in HTML. It helps to be familiar with how it works, even if you're using a visual-based design platform like Webflow. HTML tags are the browser uses to generate a website. These tags control headings, paragraphs, links, and you especially want to know how header tags like H1, H2, and H3 create content hierarchy. In addition to affecting layout structure, header tags help web crawlers classify a site, which affects where your site lands in organic search ranking. Okay, so this is very important for the SEO because the Google robot see the H1s, H2s, and they're gonna know what's important in our site and what to show in the Google. Okay, and HTML, it's very important. The navigation menu, the Webflow, is the HTML. Okay, 3. Understand CSS. CSS provides styling instructions for HTML elements. Applying fonts, adding padding, setting alignment, all possible through CSS. Knowing how this styling works gives you the skills to create unique looking websites that customize existing templates. CSS class is a list of attributes that come together with our elements. For example, color red. I think this means every paragraph will be turned to red color. The P at the beginning refers to the paragraph HTML tag used to create paragraphs. When you give them the color red attribute, every letter in every paragraph page will appear red. You can style any complete HTML this way, or you can create classes that you apply to specific elements. Dot red text, color red. This means that this class red text turned to red. With this class CSS5 you can style specific HTML element with red, such as class red text. Okay, the above text would appear red in this example, but other paragraphs on your site would remain unaffected. I get it. 4. Learn the foundations of UX design. Beginner in web development often confuse UI and UX. Short UX covers how users use your site, whether they find it straightforward to navigate, the visuals are intriguing, how they feel as they journey through it. UI focuses on site's activity, complementing the UX designer's goals to ensure the site hits. Okay, here are a few fundamental UX principles. Okay, UI focuses on site's interactivity, complementing the UX goals to ensure the site hits. So the UX means what you make the user feel when he enters the website. Um, if you have goals for this website to get the email of the user, oops, this means you have to create a user experience that leads the user to do exactly this. The UI is the what the user will see. I'm not really sure because the site's interactivity is is gonna part of the user experience as well. Okay, I think we will get it. Here are a few fundamental UX principles you need. Let's we will just briefly look at it. Which design takes poor experiences, like getting locked out of your account, angles it. Okay. If you've ever wanted to throw your laptop out the because you got locked out, trying to reset the password, you might experience. So all the problems you see in a website is user. What is UX design? UX design is a field of work dedicated to helping a user make their way through a digital process or product with maximum value. Since the UX design field is ever evolving and relatively, you might keep coming back to the adjusting it. Users, their problems, and how visual developers solve them will change that quickly. Okay, misconception about UX design. Some common misconceptions about UX design. You just how vast the field, how them get to exploring the UX design is often confused with graphic design. Is this true? And though UX designers are often use graphic design in their work, it's a separate field governed by its own rules. Doesn't conflict with it. Similarly, it's easy to use UX design and web development. Both fields create web apps. The boundary between the design and web development is blurring because coder matches for hand coding experience can't keep up with the speed of ever evolving. Examples of UX design. Example: Domino's Pizza Tracker app users not only see up to the exactly where their pizza delivery order is, their patented tracking system, but leave comments, encouragement for making and delivering their pizza. This makes something unpleasant. This makes something unpleasant, waiting for food while you're hungry, something fun and less frustrating. Domino's knows 65% pre-order and invested in that user. So basically, when something is very big part of your business, you must make it fun for the user, or at least give some value. That's very interesting. example, because everybody hates waiting. But when there is something you can check, you will be you will feel like a part of the delivery process, and this is fun. Very very nice. Apple set the process for a computer walks the Apple set the process for a new computer walks the user through a logical progression tasks for getting set up in Mac OS. Apple UX designers understand that first impression matter, that each step has to be clean to reduce friction, where a user gets stuck because the task is too or not worth it to them. Get the user walked their new laptop. They also have to consider how to use setup process, not bog down the reader and factor in nuances language a user might use. Okay, this is very interesting. Well, Apple is making a complicated process like setting up your operating system very simple. So turning something very complicated into something simple is always a choice. Well done, Apple. August 2020, Twitter announced Twitter reply settings, allowing a new level of privacy customization. One of the easiest apps in the world by allowing the user to control their own experience. Twitter's open forum can be a ideas place for harassment, toxic. Feature allows the user to select how wide the people are allowed to reply to each thing their experience by making the platform safer. Privacy is very important these days. They made something about it. Nice. UX design terms are everywhere because other companies who make digital products are basically UX. It's only great for the bottom line, but makes privacy easy. Okay, I think we can understand why they are important. Guiding principle X. Don't reinvent the wheel. Okay. I think so too. When you see something is working, go look at it, explore it, make it maybe a little bit better. Don't reinvent the wheel. Understand your audience needs. And this is well. Keep the user flow consistent up. And this is very important well, but you need experience to know how the users actually interact with the website. And I think this step there is always a room for improvement. Difference between UX and UI. Let's see the difference. It's not very clear. UX design and UI okay, often get mixed up, and that's fair. They're sister disciplines, both focused on product design, but carry some key differences. In general, UI about the look of the product and actual elements of layout, where UX is more concerned with overall feel product experience. Yeah, but I think they're both connected. Of course, the look will contribute for the feel. Still, okay. For instance, a UI designer be tasked with adjusting the login button on Facebook after a UX designer worked on improving how people that button. UX and UI complement each other, but it's It's best to hire dedicated specialists separately in your team. That way, the science of UX and the art of UI live in harmony without one overpowering the other. So basically, the UX designer must see the feedback from the customers. They will explain what problems are there with the website. The UX designer will think of ways to make it so the customer feel better using the site. Like everybody hates when a button is not working or it's working not the way it should be. And the UX designer must solve this problem, make the customer feel better using the website. The UI, the visual interpretation, the UX, or something like this. I think when we dive deeper in these concepts, it will be more clear what a UX designer does. UX designers study how a process, product, or interface is used, then design or redesign the experience, make it easier to use next time. UX designers may have the terms visual design or product development, their job titles, but their main responsibilities are the same across the board: creating or updating the features of the product, validating, testing ideas, audience, exploring alternate ways of solving user flow problems. Okay, so the UX designer is solving problems for the users and make the process, the whole product feel good. Check out these leading designers. Check out design portfolio showcasing their work. You to learn about what the UX does. Okay, I think we're done with the design. We learned a lot. Let's continue with the main tutorial about web design. We invested too much time now for the experience, but and this all happened because I wasn't sure what's the difference between UI and UX. I think I still don't fully understand it, but I got an idea. And it will get much my idea will be much clearer future. Okay, let's user personas. Web design means an end user to target audience research, create user persona, and figure out how to use optimize design for an audience. Okay, yeah, the user is the most important. You must know what the user will want before creating the website. Very cool. Information architecture. Without clear organization, people will get confused and leave your site. Information architecture and content mapping provide a blueprint for how each section of the website works together to give a straightforward customer journey. Okay, this is amazing, and I actually think Webflow did an amazing job. There is information everywhere on the website about everything. It's amazing, the information architecture. Okay, flows both how people move through a design. They help you prioritize the most section. People can access them. Okay. Wireframes show where headings, text, visual forms, and other elements will be located on the page, on a web page. Even if you're building a simple one-page web design, mapping out a wireframe gives you a solid guide to work from. Wireframes are essential to creating a consistent experience structuring layouts onto more complex UX designs. Okay, get it. Prototyping. Prototypes represent a full web design. Images, instructions, context, and other essential elements replicate the real-world design. Then these mockups are sent to a test group of users who give feedback on the UX. Okay, basically this is before you start developing your site. These are the steps. First the wireframes, and then the prototyping. Step 5. Familiarize yourself with UI design. Get familiar with UI design. UI work includes all the mechanisms that put a piece of technology into action. The doorknob user interface, as is the volume control your card radio. Just as buttons and knobs enable users to interact with machine user interface elements on a website allow people to put actions to motion. Interacting and engaging with the website should be consistent and follow repeatable patterns. Users landing on a site should immediately understand how to navigate it, so the controls must appear obvious in their functionality. Whether minimizing the number of navigation options, making checkout process quicker, or integrating interactive elements that increase accessibility, understanding UI best practices streamlines how people interact with your website. Okay, the UI design is super important. Understand the basics of layouts. People watch onto familiar design patterns, making for an accessible route through a site. You likely intuitively know where to look because you've seen these patterns before. So understanding common web design patterns help you create websites that flow smoothly. Z patterns and F patterns are the most common reading paths on sites. Okay, so from left to right, to down and left, then to the right. This is the Z pattern. And this is the F pattern from top left to top right. And then going down. We're going down, left, right, left, right, left, right, down. Okay, yeah. So basically people are used to one style and they look for this same style on the other websites because they are familiar with it. So you must give people what they know. It's not always good to be super original and make everything your way because you like it. You must have an idea with what people know and how they think and leverage this when building a website. Okay, the pattern. For layouts with generous amount of negative space, such as landing pages, the Z pattern is an efficient way to cruise through a website. When you start paying attention to where your eyes are going through a design, you immediately recognize when a Z pattern is in place. F pattern designs heavy on text, like for an online publication or blog, often follow a distinct F pattern on the left side of a list of articles or posts, and the relevant information is the main body of the page. Optimize this pattern to give people all information they need, even at a glance. Okay, so F pattern is mainly used for blogs and where there is a lot of text. Yeah, it makes sense. Understand responsive web design. Now, along with understanding understanding layout patterns, it's also essential to know the fundamentals behind responsive web design. Responsive web design has a consistent look no matter what device users display it on. Okay, the responsive design is super important because people are using now mobile phones, tablets, everything. A lot of devices. And your web page absolutely must be responsive. Okay, 7. Learn about typography. Typography serves several purposes in web design. It makes content legible, but it can also evoke emotions. The tasteful use of stylized typography adds to the overall aesthetic of a site. Here are the three basic typography types. Serif typefaces have minuscule lines known as serifs that decorate each letter. Okay, so I think this is serif. These minuscules. Sans serif typefaces lack the identifying lines of serif typefaces. Play typefaces are often used for headlines and can be either large and impactful or made of sharp, thin lines. They usually have sophisticated letter forms and are meant to grab attention. Okay, I think that typography is very important for the design, and every business have a need of different typography just because people are used to different typography. Okay, put your knowledge into action and build something. You can watch tutorials, read blog posts, enroll in free web design courses, and absorb all the theory and information you want about web design. But the best way to become a web designer is to begin designing. Start with a simple project like blog. Creating one gives you a practical design experience as you learn how to use a content management system. Plus, blogs are popular with clients looking to increase their website rankings in search results. So you can use the initial design to practice crafting something you likely do often. Okay, I absolutely agree with this. I think I will make like 2-3 more days with where I'll explore some blog posts like this to get the basic knowledge, and then I will start to build my first layouts. First from scratch, or maybe I will just clone a website from the Webflow template marketplace. There are a lot of very good free templates there, and I will just see how it works, study it, explore it. I'll make video about it. Well, then do something from scratch, and maybe then I'll try to make a blog site where I can upload my videos there and maybe write something about how I learn. We'll see. But this looks like a good idea. It's crucial to select the right design tools from the start to avoid having to relearn too later. Webflow offers beginners and experts the tools to create visually stunning sites with or without writing code. It's a great platform to start on and stick with long term. This is what I'm planning to do. I'm investing everything in Webflow. I'll invest my time and energy, and I really hope in about 3-4 months I'll be ready to land my first job as a freelancer. Let's hope this will happen. I really want it to happen, and I'll do my best for this to become a reality. Step number 9, find a mentor. Mentors are valuable because they've been where you are at the very beginning and want to help you through the hard-earned lessons they've learned. They have a deep well of expertise and knowledge and are an excellent resource for getting feedback on your work, identifying your strengths and weaknesses. Try contacting friends or checking social media for mentors open to new students. When searching, consider finding someone who does the type of design you admire and specialize in what you want to learn. Yeah, I think it's very important, but I don't have the finance now to get a mentor. There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube. I think there is one guy, Timothy Rix. He is very advanced. Maybe after I get the basics, I'll start looking. He has a Patreon page with a lot of materials. I think maybe I will get it in the future. But for now, there is plenty of information. I plan to get the basics now, the first 10 days. Try to build something really simple. And after that, I will learn the client first framework. Very important for the classes and to structure your website the right way. When you get it, it will be very much easier to create well-structured and beautiful websites. But I need maybe a week more of learning the basics and I'll start learning the framework. And when we master of course we can't master the framework. We can, but it will take a lot of time, but just getting the basics or getting to the intermediate level will be enough for now. And with time, when I get a job, I will learn very fast then. Because when you have a pressure, and I'm a person that when he have a task, he invests all his energy. I want to perform well, so I will learn very fast when I get a job. Actually, the learning process is harder because you have freedom, at least a little bit. You're not so pressured, and sometimes you don't. I mean, the pressure is very important, and now, of course, I'm trying every day to learn like as much as I can now, but you can always learn more. And when you have a pressure, you don't have that choice. You have to perform, and this this is when you learn the most. Okay, let's finish this tutorial. A platform to design websites like a pro. Learning the fundamentals behind visual design, basics of UI and UX, and how the front end and back end functions sets you off the right foot to becoming a well-rounded designer. When you're ready to start practicing, Webflow empowers beginners and experts alike to build, manage, and grow professional grade websites. Webflow offers fully customizable page structures, components, and the beginner to advanced styling options, so you can move at your own speed. And the Webflow CMS help you make content-rich pages and collaborate with mentors and teammates as you learn this new craft. Okay, unleash your creativity on the web. Is this? Let's. Yeah, this is the dashboard. Okay, I think there was a lot of information. Of course, this is just the the basics. There is so much to explore in every step. So much to learn. And the practice is the most important thing. And I plan to start practicing the next videos. We will start building things. I don't wanna go very deep into the watching a lot of tutorials. I will watch some tutorials for sure, but first my method is first to try and do something and then watch a tutorial. I think this is the better way to learn something, because it's easy to watch a tutorial, but when you don't have any idea about how the things are working, I think the value of the tutorial is much less. When you have a basic idea about something and then you watch the tutorial, at least for me, this is such a better way to learn something. Okay, we're done for today. See ya in the next video. Bye bye.